Go.
Greetings, everyone. I hope you're doing well. So, this is a class action update just to let you know what's going on. I have a bit of a cold at the moment, so if I sound a bit uh, of like I've got a cold, then that's why. Um, there's a hearing coming up on the 27th of November. This is almost certainly the last hearing we'll have before the matter is actually heard in February. The February date, which is the last week in February, we don't need an actual date. We know it's going to be round about there, and it'll be for a few days. Um, but this one is all about application of documents. So, technically speaking, with a application like this, you put in a founding affidavit, then they have their answering affidavit, and then you put in a replying affidavit, and that's supposed to be it in a way. But in the normal course of litigation, you often put in what's things that are known as supplementary affidavits. And so these are particularly things like um, we have put in about 40 supplementary affidavits where you, the people out there who have been wronged by the banks, um, have put your case, and they're all kind of the same. They follow a template. You say what your house was sold for, and so on, and then why it wasn't a last resort, and you pick from a number of things that are the basis of our class action subclasses. So quite a few people have filled these in, and they also say things like they want me to be the legal representative, and that the representative of the class is so and so, and a whole lot of technical things about the class action as well. But obviously, most of these were filed after the original papers were filed because we met most of these people afterwards, or they sent in their papers afterwards. So the banks are trying to say um, you can't admit these because they were filed late. But in a class action, you don't even know these people at the beginning, which is what I'm arguing. And then they also have been saying you have to have an actual application to admit these things, which we've said, okay, we'll do that. We'll have an application, we'll have a hearing date, and we've we've applied to have all these affidavits admitted. So that is what I've been doing for the last 2 months. It's taken me a long, long time, maybe 100 hours of work, because I've had to file the applications, then I've had to respond to four um, long affidavits from the four big banks, and then I've put in heads of argument, and then I've had to read all the banks' heads of argument, arguing every single point, because remember they've got some of the top legal firms in the country representing them, so things that nobody would think of, they do think of. So you have to, it takes ages and ages to go through it. But I've basically what the case law says is you've got to make an application, which we've made. You've got to explain why your stuff was filed late, and that's the first reason, because we only met the people. The second reason is that we didn't anticipate when the banks first when we started suing the banks that they were actually going to deny that they'd sold people's houses for less than they were worth. We expected them to go on some legal points why they were liable or why they weren't liable. But so they've actually what we believe at the moment to be perjury, which is a criminal offence. They've actually lied to the court in their response by saying basically we don't do that. We don't sell people's houses for less. We always only sell as a last resort. So then we brought in all these affidavits which say no, this person, these other 40 people all say that you've done this to them, and then particularly the Zeetzman affidavit, where we got the bank's records, um, and we it shows thousands and thousands of instances where they've sold people's houses for much less than they're worth. Sometimes lots of them for 1% of what they were worth. I mean, it just doesn't happen anywhere else. It's absolutely shocking. A human rights abuse of note, but yet the banks are not prepared to say, we're sorry, we will compensate you. They want to fight it to the last man, so to speak. So um, that's what they're saying is no, this causes us huge prejudice. You're allowing these um, documents to be filed at a late date. They're saying they're not relevant, but they're obviously relevant. I mean, what could be more relevant to a class action than saying the banks sold people's houses, not as a last resort, and for less than they're worth, than lots of documents that say just that. And they say, oh no, you only get one chance, you've got to start at the beginning and file everything at the beginning. And we're saying, no, it's quite very common um, to file supplementary affidavits. They're saying it's an abusive process. We're saying it's not. It's allowed for in the rules. We can file supplementary affidavits. We just have to apply them to the court, which is a discretion, whether they accept them or not. And if they're relevant, generally they do get accepted. And so then we go through like all this tens of pages of case law and analyze it and say this happened in this case, this happened in this case. So that's what I'm going to have to do next week. And I think we should win, but you never know what's going to happen. We also put forward constitutional arguments, which the banks very rarely respond to because they don't think, in my view, constitutionally, they have no concern about whether what they do is in accordance with the Constitution or not. So we're saying how it's against our clients' right to a fair trial, a fair hearing if their documents are not admitted, or if the Zeitswin affidavit is not admitted, etc., etc. So yeah, it's been a lot to do in the last little while, and we're hoping after next week we'll be able to say that we've at least beat the banks in the preliminary stage, and then we'll see what happens in February. We're hopeful that we could be successful. But if we don't win in this, it doesn't mean we've lost the case. It simply means that we're going to have to proceed with less documents. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. At the moment, my head's very full of why all our documents should be admitted. So that's the update. I hope you're doing well, and I will speak to you soon.